In this program, we'll learn how to use menu items that will help us show different pictures of some famous dogs and display their names in that label. We'll go to the toolbox and get a menu strip. Where it says to type here, that's where we'll type. Sometimes you see file up there. We're going to type program. And you'll notice in the name of the object, it's given the name Program Tool Strip Menu Item. That's kind of long. We're going to start with MNU and put Program. And that's the name of this control or object, MNU Program. You see we have options to go to the right or below. Let's go below and type Exit. Once again, we're given a very long default name. We're going to change this to MNU Program Exit, because Exit is a sub-menu of Program. Well, let's write some code for when users click on the MNU Program Exit menu item. We'll simply end the program with me.close. Let's test it out. It works. We can also put an ampersand in front of the P. That will allow us to press Alt-P and make program show up in the menu. The Alt is pressed and Alt-P brings up the menu. We can hit Enter for exit if we'd like. We could also put an ampersand possibly in front of the X and exit. We've learned a similar strategy with buttons. See what happens when you press Alt. Let's get rid of the ampersand on exit though, because we can also make shortcut keys. You've probably seen these in many programs you've used. Shortcut keys, right now there is none, but now we'll create some. You have many modifiers from which to choose, Control, Shift, and Alt. Let's go with Control and Q for exit, to quit the program. Now when we run this, we can press Control Q and the program will end. That shortcut takes us to the click event for that menu item. There are other things you could pick. If you did Control and Shift together, you notice they both show up as shortcuts in the menu. We'll just leave it as Control Q for now. If you press Reset, it takes everything away. But again, we're going to leave it as Control Q. We'll move to the right, and the title of this part of the menu will be Dog. Again, we're given a very long name for this Dog Tool Strip menu item. We're going to call it MNU Dog. It's a top level thing, so MNU Dog will suffice. And we'll put an ampersand in front of the D. So Alt-D will make the dog part of the menu show up. Sub-menu items from Dog will include some famous dogs, like Snoopy. Also Gromit, from Wallace and Gromit fame. From back in your younger days, Blue. And a great dog detective, Scooby Doo. We're going to have some pictures of these dogs show up. Again, we're given very long names for these menu items, but they are sub-menus of Dog, so we'll call this one MNU Dog Snoopy. That lets us know that it's actually underneath Dog. We'll do the same thing for Gromit, MNU Dog Gromit. Also for Blue. Again, it is a sub-menu item to the original menu item of Dog, so MNU Dog Blue. And finally, we'll do MNU Dog Scooby. We've got good names for these menu items now. Let's give them some shortcut keys. You can be as creative as you would like to be. For Snoopy, we'll do Control-Shift-S feel free to do something else if you would like. Try some of the other modifiers if you would like. We'll do Control-Shift-G for grommet. Blue. Blue is going to get Control-Shift-B. For Scooby Doo, we've already used the letter S, so we'll go with Control-Shift and D. Well, let's write some code for when users click on these menu items. When the menu item dealing with Snoopy is clicked, we're going to display a picture and the name of the dog. In the picture box we have and the label we've got. Let's see it in action. There's Snoopy. We'll have to do this for the 3 other dogs as well. Next is grommet. So we'll display a picture and grommet's name in the label. Let's test it out. There's grommet. There's Snoopy. I used the shortcut keys to get there. Another way we can get to objects or controls is right there in the middle. You see all of our controls are there, and we want the click event. So we'll go over to that, all the events, and press click. And we'll get our information and picture ready for Blue. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing for Scooby. Let's run the program and see if they all work. There's Snoopy, there's Grommet, here's Blue, and Scooby Doo. You can click and drag items in the menu to change the order. That's what we're doing here with Scooby Doo and Blue. If you want a separator bar, one way to do it is simply to type a hyphen or dash inside where that text went, and a separator bar shows up. Another way is to right-click and see Insert and to pick a separator. Next, we're going to use Visible and the idea of having a checked menu item. And we'll have the picture and the label become visible and invisible. Once again, we get a very long name by default. We'll call this MNU Dog Visible. Again, it's a sub-menu from Dog. And we're going to go to the Check on Click property, which by default is false. We're going to make it true. And we'll also make the checked property true right off the bat. You notice that a check mark just showed up beside visible. And we'll write some code for when users click on this visible menu item. It's going to depend on whether or not the item is checked as true or checked as false. So if MNU-Dog-Visible.Checked is true, and writing equals true is optional here, we're going to go ahead and display the picture box, image, and the text in the label. Otherwise, that must mean that the checked property is false, and we'll make sure those visible properties are also false, and users won't see an image or the name of the dogs. This again is all determined by the checked property of MNU-Dog-Visible. Either it is true or it is false that it is checked. Let's run it and see what happens. We can see Scooby Doo. Now we can't. We can still click all these other items. It looks like Blue is the last one we've selected, and when we turn this visible, Blue appears. Invisible, visible. Another menu strip we can use is a context menu strip. Users can make this show up by right-clicking on a control. We could have it on the form, have it on a picture box. We're going to try both of those. So here's context menu strip 1. And we'll have an about menu item. Again, we get a very long name for it. We'll change it to MNU about. And we're simply going to have a message box show up to display some information about the program. We've still got to assign this context menu strip to a control or an object. We're going to assign it to Form 1. So Form 1 has been selected, and here's a property called context menu strip. We haven't used it before, but we'll use it now and assign it context menu strip 1. When users right-click on the form, this context menu will show up. We could also assign a separate context menu strip somewhere else, for instance, to our picture box. Maybe people could right-click on the picture box and bring up some of the dogs they'd like to see. For example, we'll just go with Snoopy and Scooby Doo. This is context menu strip 2. Well, we'll change this very long name for Snoopy. We'll call it MNU Context Snoopy. You want to give it some kind of a name so you know that it's different from your other Snoopy menu item. We'll call this one MNU Context Scooby. And once again, we want to assign this menu strip to this picture box, not the whole form, just the picture box. So we'll go to the picture box. It has a context menu strip property, and we will assign it context menu strip 2. That's the one that has Snoopy and Scooby Doo in it. We could double click on Snoopy or Scooby Doo in these menu items and get separate events, but we want them to do the exact same thing as our other menu click events with Snoopy and Scooby Doo. So we'll just add to the handles part of the menu click items that already exist. No need to write the same code twice. So we'll run this program. We can select blue there and right-click on the picture box, and there are the choices of Snoopy and Scooby Doo. It's also possible to disable a menu item. We'll make a button right now that will disable one of our menu items. There could be many reasons in the course of a program where you would want to enable or disable a menu item. For example, maybe there's a certain menu item that you only want enabled after users score a certain number of points in a game. Until that time, you don't want them to have the ability to click on the menu item. So we'll create this button, and it will allow us to disable the menu item for blue. So we'll code this in such a way that menu dog blue.enabled equals false. And you'll notice that it will dim out blue, and we will not be able to click on it and make anything happen. Right now, it's enabled, so it's okay, but as soon as we click to disable it, you'll notice that it's faded out, and we can't do anything with it. If we wanted to enable it, we could just take that same menu item .enabled and set it equal to true.